went fast. It just seems like it ought to be 10 or something. I know it's been a long time, but, you know, it's not like it's been forever. It's forever new. You know, I think it's because it keeps changing, and that's what keeps it good. Yeah. It's the same every week, but it's different. If you know what I mean. Well, we had wanted to come back to Arkansas for a long time. Um, I used to spend the winters in Oak Park and think, oh, I would rather be in Arkansas. And every time I would come here for vacation and saw the flowers and the hills, and then I'd go back to Chicago where it was flat and gray and think, why am I not in Arkansas? And your dad felt the same way. He really liked the beauty around here and get away from the city life. But we had a hard time making that move. You know, you talk about it and you think about it, but to actually make it happen is not easy. And we had been thinking of ways to come down here, but there weren't any jobs really to speak of. And we came down one time job hunting, and they tried to sell us the Benton County Cemetery and a fish bait place on Highway 12, I think, in Rogers on Beaver or something like that. And that we came close, and that would have been a nightmare for me, getting up and selling worms to bait. Oh well, you know, God was looking out for me. And so then we had belonged to the theater group up in Chicago, and they had a gourmet club. And one night I happened to meet an old friend who had worked with in advertising at Jewel. And I told your dad, I said, I'm going to go say hi. And I did. And he told us what he was doing was living home and running a business out of his home, and it was a shopper. And invited us to come over and see what it was all about. And he was getting ready to build a new home with a swimming pool, and I thought, well, that sounds like it's not doing too bad. So we did indeed go over. He worked out of his basement, had a very small staff, and was making a profit and enjoying his work, and led us to see some other people in Oak Park who were doing similar things. So we did a little homework, and in the meantime, and I can't remember this sequence exactly, he was getting really stressed out with work and got very ill. And they did some blood work, and he was in pain in his chest, and they did a bone marrow test, and the doctor thought it might be leukemia. And that weekend, and then he was supposed to let us know, and his mother got sick, so we didn't find out for a week and a half, at which time we were thinking the worst. And the doctor said, well, I couldn't find anything wrong, so see me in 6 months. And at that point, I told your dad, I said, let's do it. You know, this is a new life. We can start from scratch, and you're going to live, and we'll make it happen. So we put our house on the market in a paper similar to ours, the oak leaves. And the second day, somebody came and made us a full offer and wanted in 2 weeks. So we flew down here, and I don't mean literally, we drove down here in a hurry and looked for a place to live. And over the weekend, found a house on Loxley that had a family room that we could use for an office. And came back and started to pack, and we sold our house for more money than what we purchased one here. So we had that, I think $5,000 from that, and then there was profit sharing. So we put money down on the house on Loxley and had $10,000, put it in the bank to help us start our business. And we came down here in August, and we mapped out the whole Fayetteville area, because there wasn't a paper down here. And so we thought, well, it would be a good place to start. And people kept saying, what? Nobody's going to read classifieds. What are you doing? You know, that's not going to work here. And we had a mock-up of a paper, and we went house to house. I don't mean house to house, I mean business to business. And after about the third day, bless his heart, Frank Sharp from the Ozark Mountain Smokehouse bought our first ad, and I wanted to hug him. You know, like somebody bought an ad in our paper, because we didn't have any proof of an actual newspaper, what we were going to do. And then I had people not wanting to, because I was a Yankee, and they thought I was some damn Yankee coming in and trying to start a business, and they weren't going to have a part of it. And I had to convince them that I went to Fayetteville High and that I did indeed live here. So it was really a slow start, and we got our first classifieds off the bulletin boards at the university and laundromats. And then we called people and asked if they would mind if we put them in the paper. And of course they said no, and they didn't mind. So we started out, I think, with 12 pages, our first issue, and distributed strictly in Fayetteville. And we were going to mail it, except the first mailing that we did to everybody to initialize it and introduce it, the mail alone was like $625, and that was outrageous. So we just decided we had to throw it house to house. And so for the first 6 months, that was kind of funny, because the paper was so light, you'd throw it out the window and the wind would blow it back, you know. And we hired some guys to help us. But the funniest thing I remember is the first time we printed like 9,000 papers, and we sat in our family room and we rolled them and we put rubber bands around them. We tossed them in the corner. Pretty soon, it was like popcorn. We were sitting in this room, and there were mounds and mounds of newspaper. It was just like it grew, and we got cartons. And then after that, we had a system. But it used to take us like 4 man-hours to rubber band them all. And we had great grandma come over. She was helping. You weren't helping, you were too little, but the boys were helping. Mom and Dad were helping. And then we put them in cartons and take them out. And your grandfather helped distribute it. Unfortunately, the time we started, there was a newsprint shortage. So everywhere we went to talk to printers, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do this because there's a newsprint, you know. And we finally found the press in Bentonville. And Billy Moore was the first guy up in, they had the Democrat, it was out of the Walmart offices. So he was so helpful, and we used to go up there, and I can't remember the sequence, but I know we worked till 2 o'clock Saturday or early Sunday morning, and then all day Sunday and Monday, because we'd go out and sell the ads, come back, and we didn't have computers the way we do now. I had a little Smith Corona typewriter, and so I would do the classifieds on that, and then the display ads, I would do a little layout, or your dad would, and then I would spec the type, and I'd say, okay, this is a headline, it's 14 point, and this is a headline, it's 24 point. And I'd go to all the ads, and I'd get all the headline type, all the words that we needed for the headlines, and then your dad would run it up to the morning news in Springdale, which was the Springdale News at the time, and come back with long strips with the headlines at different sizes to fit the ads. And I had that experience at Jewel, so I knew what size type was. And then I would set little addresses in 8-point type, and then the other words, and this measurement. And a really wonderful guy named Max had a print shop on Dixon, and he was kind enough to let me come down once a week and borrow his Selectra typewriter. And so I would set all the little type. Then we'd come back, and we'd have to cut them. We'd wax them with a little, well, first we used rubber cement, and that was hideous, because once you put it down, you couldn't move it. But then we got a little hand waxer, and we'd wax the back of it, and then we'd cut it out, and we use a straight edge, and we'd have to, do that. And then all the paper was put together with that, and we'd lay it out on the dining room table. And then as the paper grew, we used the kitchen table and the dining room table, and then the piano bench in the living room, and you kids were like, Mother, you're going to have it in the bathroom next, but people found out that we were setting type. We finally convinced a bank to give us a loan for a CompuGraphic typesetting machine. And that took some doing, and because nobody was convinced that, we were going to make it. In fact, from August to March, we kept going back to the bank every week and taking out money. And we found out later, one of the vice presidents told us that everybody at the bank was laying odds that we weren't going to be able to make it. And in fact, by March, we got down to $400 in the bank. And Frank Sharp, good friend that he was, got us a job doing publicity for Youth Bridge, which encompassed Boyland and so forth. So we would do work on the ads and then work on the newsletter and do open houses and TV spots promoting Youth Bridge. And I would travel and do like Rotary things with Don Beebe, who was the director there. So we were able to add $100 a week to our bank account, $400 a month to hang in there, and the hours we worked were unbelievable. I can remember Frank loaned us this addressograph machine, and you had to be really coordinated, but it had all the addresses for the Youth Bridge pit, and we stick the plates in the machine, and then you go with your hands and your feet, ka-chunka, chunka, chunka, and then put the next one in, and it would do the addressing, and then it had to do them all by zip code, 3,000 of them, and they would lay on the floor, and I'd be doing that till God knows when in the morning. And so we worked 70, 80 hours a week. We did typesetting for agencies and everything. We just never said no because we wanted to make it work. And we were pretty determined. Dad used to say, well, we can always do pig farming. And I said, man, I'm going to work twice as hard to get this. I'm too much of an optimist. I don't think there was a question that we'd ever move back to Chicago. Well, at that time we couldn't have because we didn't have any money and things cost more up there. No, some people offered us work. Zip Print at the time, they offered us work, but we knew that if we spent half a day doing that, we couldn't devote enough time to the paper, and surely would fail if we couldn't put the hours in that we did. And so what we did was we got part-time people to come in on the nights that we put the paper together, like a couple nights a week. And we got a part-time sales girl, Virginia Fedowski, was our first salesperson. And we had her on a commission basis. She was making more than we were. And it was like, I had gone to Small Business Association class in Chicago for people that wanted to go into business for themselves. And they said that you better have 2.5 years worth of funds to carry you through. We didn't have that much, but and that if you thought it was hard working for somebody else, you should try working for yourself because you're going to be putting hours and hours and hours in. And they were absolutely right. We didn't have to pay income tax for the first 5 years, and but it really, we talked business. I bet people got tired of it because that's all we did. We were excited about it, And we'd open up the ads. I mean, you know, like, wow, we got 50 ads. And we'd open up. And our first ads were free. The classifieds were free because we wanted people to use them and to get accustomed to the paper. And that worked out, but then we decided, you know, people were getting thousands of dollars for their cars and everything else. Like, would you send us $1 if you sell something on an honor system? Well, we were lucky we got $20 a week. And we knew that these people were selling stuff because they wouldn't put the ad in, you know, you'd call them and, oh yeah, I sold that, you know. So finally we decided we had to charge $2 to be able to make it. But people are always saying, oh, you have such a cute little paper and it's free. And I said, well, they said, how do you make any money? And I was like, yeah, well, figure it out. We have to charge for our advertising. And one funny incident, one time I got a phone call from a major in the Army. I won't give his name. And he read me his ad over the phone, and I said, well, that will be like $2.25 or something. And he said, oh, but no, ma'am. He said, that ad is free. And I said, well, sir, no, we're charging. He said, well, you have in the paper that free to good home ads are free. And he said, and I have a good home. I was like, oh, okay. I think he was serious, but I finally convinced him that, you know, that was for give away pets and give away this and give away that. But we had this ad came into us, and I looked at that and I said, I can't figure this one out. It says 1 table, 4 CHARS, 3 TARS, blah, blah, blah. I said, what? Finally, I thought, I'll read it like I'm a Southerner. And I said, for sale. 1 table, 4 chars, and 3 tars. And I thought, I know what it is now. You know, but I mean, it was funny. It was. No, by no means. We wanted something that would provide for our family. And we thought that with us and a little help, we could do that. You know, we could raise our children in Arkansas, and they could go to school, and we could buy groceries and pay the rent. And never in our wildest dreams did we imagine that it would be the success that it turned out to be. But everybody uses it, and it's kind of the town's paper. You know, it's written by the people in the community. It's their words, and I'm just grateful that it is so used. You know, and we never tried to take advantage. You know, we've always tried, gosh, for years, $2 classifieds, and we're up now. But I mean, this is 30 years later. You know, so tried to keep it economical so that the small businessman could afford to do some advertising and reach a particular audience. And by having it once a week, 4 times a month, they could afford it rather than having to go every day where the next day's paper is tossed. People tend to keep the Star Shopper for a week, and their ad is seen over and over. At least we hope so. And but no, the success that it is today, well, we earned a lot of that, you know, and we have so many loyal advertisers and loyal readers, so that's really great, because we've had some competition come in, but we have a lot of loyalty, so, and our workers are loyal, and that's another good thing. The paper has slowly grown. It hasn't been an overnight success. You know, we finally discovered we had to move out of our house because people were coming to the door, and it was embarrassing to be in the neighborhood and have cars lined up like we were having a perennial garage sale. And so we had been in business 5 years, and your dad came home one day and said, hey, there's this place on College Avenue, they got a for rent sign in the window. And he said, I went and peeked in, and he said, it looks pretty interesting. And it was scary. And so we said, well, let's do it. We were afraid. Oh, and at that time, too, we had been every other week with the paper, and 2 times a month, and we weren't making that much money. And we thought, well, we've got to go every week, because people were forgetting about it in between. And we thought, oh, if we divide that, what we have, into 4, it's even going to be worse. But it doubled, because we were in people's minds and they were looking forward to it. They could remember that it was out every week, and they couldn't remember before which week it was out. And, we decided we didn't want anything oaky or hokey or hillbilly. We didn't want to tie into the university because we wanted to be a community paper. We wanted a name that would grow with the area, so we didn't want to tie it to Fayetteville. I kind of wanted something that would have a symbol that you could see and use to enhance the name. And we came up with like Town and Country. Oh gosh, can't tell you how many different ones that you could have. Of course, things like Penny Pincher were already in Thrifty Nickel. I think they were already taken in other communities, so we wanted to be a little original. And so I was looking everywhere, and finally got out the encyclopedia and looked for the Arkansas flag. Just, we were trying to come up with different things. And the Arkansas flag has a lot of stars in it, and it's a diamond shape and stars. So I thought, Star Shopper, that sounds good. My mother called me the same day, and she said, Joyce, I've got a name for the paper. I said, what is it? I said, I do too. She said, Star Shopper. And I said, that's it. How really weird that was, but we both came up with it at the same time, and it's worked, because there's the symbol, and there's the thing. Oh, I have to tell you, when we were first, I told you about the headlines at the morning news. Well, Max, who was letting us set type, had this old monster of a headline machine, and he said, if you can borrow it if you put it together. Your dad took it all apart and cleaned it and put it together, and it was one where you had a film strip, and you had several different film strips, and the thing took the size of this table, and then you had pedals, and you would wind it to an A, and then you would have to go ka-chunk with your foot and thump-a-dump, and then move it back and forth, and it would take a picture of it. And then you'd move it to the next letter, an S or something, ka-chunk. So we did all our headlines, and we designed the Star Shopper masthead on that machine. And we could slant the type and everything else. It was what a contraption, but can you imagine how slow everything had to be? It's why it took us forever, and pasting up. When we finally convinced the bank to loan us for a CompuGraphic, it too was on film strips, but it was automatic. You could type and then press return, and then it would go automatically. But you could only see one row at a time. You couldn't see what you had done, and so what you got out was, if you did your leading wrong and happened to put it on 24 or something, you'd end up with a line, and use all this film. Disaster. And so the equipment has gotten better and better, and the film used to cost us like $160 a roll for film. It was outrageous. And the chemistry and cleaning the equipment, it's just... One machine we got cost $50,000. It did a beautiful job of... And Carla, I can remember... Carla and Barbara, we didn't want to change over to these rinky-dink computers because their type was ugly. And at first, it was. The letter spacing was bad when computers were first out. We could tell, oh, that's not quality. We're doing quality. But now, of course, we've got computers, but On the other hand, we are no longer servicing printers because they can easily do it themselves. We don't have type to set for too many people anymore. So that part of our business has gone down as the paper has gone up, fortunately. So we don't have as much job work, but we used to have crazy amount of job work. Wednesday mornings after the paper went to press, we'd sit there with a stack of maybe 16 jobs, and we'd dole it out for different people to do the different work. And that was fun, though, I mean, I thought it was fun. So the time and, time has made things better for all of us. When we had bad weather and things like that, that was always a problem. If it snowed, we couldn't get the paper to the press, or we couldn't get the paper out. But then we would think, well, they can't get to the store to get it anyway, so if we're late a day, so what, I think when your father took ill, that the fact that we could count on you and your brother to come back and take over the business meant so much, because we wanted to keep it in the family. We had offers, maybe 3 or 4 at a time, from the different papers trying to buy the business, and felt that it would be a good thing if people in the family wanted it, that we could continue it. And I think what is so wonderful is because of the technology changes, and it's not something that your father or I probably would have done, because we had done the same thing over and over for years and were comfortable with it, and getting rather exhausted from, after doing 51 papers a year for a jillion years, you get kind of burnt out a little bit. And but the fact that you kids have been productive on taking advantage of the new technologies and the computers and the new programs and the website, and being able to have our customers have better service with phone service and MasterCard and Visa and all those things. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it had gone that way, if I'd still be in the driver's seat. And so I see the fact that you're keeping up with the latest, and it's made, here we have the same amount of people, and we're doing twice the amount of pages in that amount of time, and still getting, and doing a good job, and taking advantage of email, and getting ads over the internet, and doing proofs, so faxing. Gosh, we didn't even have a copy machine for years, And we thought, what do we need one of those for? Good grief. And a fax machine. And but those things are so helpful. And so, and the fact that we're able to provide for the people that work for us. I mean, they're loyal to us, and we want to be taking care of them too, with insurance. And we've been, for a small business, it's nice that we can do the profit sharing and share. They work hard, and at the end of the year, the harder they work, the more we make, then they get some of it, and that's good. It makes them part of it. And so Stafford and Associates is really associates. That's what makes it happen. Well, first of all, I'm very grateful that it is made, because very few businesses make it. I can't remember the odds, but if it's 1 in 5, or I don't know, but it's, we did make it. And that's not to say that somebody can't come in. That's why you've always got to watch and see that you're doing a good job and maintain your, service and maintain your quality, because you can't think that you're on top and then, you can't go bust. It's been A lot of the biggies have done that. And I just think that if we keep growing with the area, and keep on doing what we're doing, using technology to our advantage, and people keep learning new skills so that we can do it better. I'm probably the worst because I don't work that much anymore, and it's a whole new language for me. Computers are, I'm doing okay, but I'm certainly not to where the staff is. But then that's why we've got them. And I just, if we can continue to provide a good service in Northwest Arkansas, and everybody do well, I'm hoping for that. I want people to do well working for us, and I want them to be happy working for us. And because if you can't enjoy coming to work, it's not worth it. I've been very lucky, and that I have something that I really love.
I was 2, so I had no concept of what was going on. My earliest memory would probably be around 3, 4, or 5. Because one memory I have is working underneath the dining room table. Like, my parents would be working on the dining room table and I'd be under it drawing. So somewhere around there, that's when I started remembering it. And there was another memory of clients used to come to the house, and I think there was one time when I ran down the hall naked to the bathroom. And who knows if a client would have been there or not, but just the fact that it was our home and our office, and so we had people in and out of the house. And I don't remember a whole lot from that house, but those are some of the memories I have. As well as the big one was, I remember going to bed at night, and they'd put me to sleep, and then you would hear them typing. That would be what would kind of lull me to sleep, was the typewriter.
Both on the typewriters?
I don't know. Probably just my mom. I don't think my dad typed. Well, the Christmas parties were always really fun.
Okay.
I always liked the Christmas parties. I always looked forward to those.
And those were at the actual house?
Yeah, they were. Well, and just all of them over the years, that just was always something that was fun. It was a chance to get dressed up and see everybody and see everybody's families, as well as kids and stuff like that. So that was always something that was neat. I think the oldest clients are my favorite because they are linked to my parents, and they are linked to this company's past and our past as a family. Seeing Frank still come in the door, and knowing that that is more than just a client relationship, that is a friend relationship as well, and knowing their family and knowing just different history that we have with them, and the stories that are behind that. Things like Liz walking in the door and knowing that my father worked with her mother, and so it's kind of a connection to my past, and I think that those are the ones that I appreciate the most. And then sometimes just classified people that come in that are particularly friendly or funny. Those are always nice. I'm just pleased that we've still been able to keep our business a successful business, and be able to provide jobs for the people we provide jobs for. That's something that was instilled from my parents, and that we've been able to continue to provide benefits to people. And then I also think we are a huge asset to our community, and I think that that is something I'm very proud of, and I think that we've helped many business owners, given them an opportunity to get their name out there, as well as even the small guy who wants to sell his car or sell some furniture and earn a little cash. It's a entity that provides a lot to a lot of different people, whether that being our employees or our readers or our customers. I think it just, we've been able to provide a lot of things for a lot of people, and I think that's pretty neat.
I don't remember a whole lot. I remember we had a garage sale, and I had to get rid of all my stuff. And I just remember at the garage sale, they had it in the basement of the house, and all my toys had like 5 cents and 10 cents on them, and I kept running around, going, I want that. And so I had to pick just a few things to put in a box and bring down. But that's really, I don't remember a whole lot about the decision to move down. I just remember the garage sale because that's where all my stuff went. So that was my initiation to Arkansas. I was getting all my toys, sold off in a garage sale. But once we got down here, the other thing I remember is how hilly it was and how it was very difficult to get used to all the hills. Now, people live here, you never, think of it, but when it's flat and you go to someplace that's hilly, every hill seems really steep, and that was the other big thing I remember moving down here. And y'all, people saying y'all. I remember my first job was taking the garbage out, which is a very important job around here. And I remember the back room just full of people. And Dad had a big camera. That was the first typesetting camera in the garage. And the kitchen table was the layout table where the paper got put together. And then the front living room was where the papers would come after the press and they would get rolled up. And it would literally fill the living room, almost floor to ceiling with rolled up papers. And so it was basically the whole house was a production facility for the paper. And I remember that everybody smoked in those days. So the back room was literally like this fog of smoke. It was just a room probably no bigger than this, hardly. And everybody was smoking away, sitting at their machines and typewriters. And the phone would ring all the time. It was like nonstop with the phone ringing. So. I think everything we've done. Just the way the internet, the way everybody here is more productive than it was in every department. If you think about how our typesetting department gets so much more done now than they used to be able to do. They're able to put out a 48 or 52 page paper, and in the old days you'd have to work on weekends to do a 52. So they're much more knowledgeable, more efficient. It's just in the sales department, they have to sell all those ads that they might have to use weekends for. And now they're doing, getting their sales done very efficiently. And I think technology's really helped that we put in. Credit cards, it's tremendous help. Just everything, digital cameras, cell phones, anything, all the computers we have, anything that you can think of has really helped us in every one of our departments. If you look what our, what Missy and Tammy do up front, how much more efficient they are, it's incredible. It's like every part of this business has become more efficient. And that's between technology and then the people who are doing the job, and they're grasping that technology and putting it to its best use. Actually, I like the paperwork when I'm left alone. When I can just get it done, because I can see, everything needs to be done and just do it and get it processed. I like that, and I don't know. I like putting the paper together. Some parts of that. I don't like the count part. But I like when I put it all together and come up with a plan and it actually works, and that's exciting. And you get to see, I think we're fortunate in this job because at the end of Tuesday, we put all we've accomplished, every one of us, and we put it in a box and it goes to the press, and the next morning we get this finished product. And we can actually look at it, and it's tangible, and we can have a lot of satisfaction and say, hey, look what we did. And then to hear, you know, somebody sold a car or what have you, and you know, and somebody bought a car. You know, you have the reader side of it, and that's positive reinforcement, and that's the good part of this job. Is you know, it would not be worthwhile if we were doing this and just, you know, not accomplishing anything, but we're actually putting people together in the outside world in a positive way, and that's really neat. Not a lot of people get to do jobs like that. I just remember, you know, I just remember the excitement that we get when we get our big issues that we used to get in our big sales, and how, you know, it's still exciting. It's just when we actually do something new and different and exceed something. And I remember, I can remember how everybody gets so excited at accomplishing, and it's still neat when Tuesday comes around and we have a big paper. Like recently when we did our 52-page papers, it wasn't a sale paper. I mean, that's just something to get excited about. Yeah, I remember our Christmas parties, and, you know, I like the Christmas parties, and it's just a time for everybody to get together and relax, and you know, outside of the office environment. And I remember the tough times too, that we have to get through and over. And you know, you look at some of the tough times we've had, and you think at the time, oh my gosh, how are we going to get around this or through this or over this? And then you just persevere, and all of a sudden, 6 months later, it's just a distant thought, and we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, and yeah, that makes me feel good. Good job. If you look at the numbers are against a business, and then to like go to a new place, start a business, and when everybody's telling you that it's going to fail, and they must have like been smoking something, because you know, when everybody tells you not to do something, you do it anyway. And then you accomplish it, you know, that's unbelievable. I don't think I could have done that. I'd like to think I could, but I don't know if I could have done that. I don't know if a lot of people could have done that, because they had to leave 2 good jobs, move to a new state, and spend every dime they had on something. And after, even I think it was after what, 4 or 5 years, they weren't successful. I mean, it was growing a little bit, but there was still doubt. And at some point, like after year 3, you go, God, maybe I ought to do something else, and they didn't, which is totally amazing. And then it worked, and now it's successful, and yeah, it was just a great job. Mom and Dad did a great job. I want the to grow. And I want our website to grow and incorporate the two together like we've been doing. And we're fortunate where we live because our area grows so fast. And I just want us to be the predominant weekly advertising paper. And I think that we're really going to see in the next few years that our website is what's really going to take off and really complement the paper. And I think there's just going to be a lot of room for growth, and I don't see any downside. I just see positive, and I think it's exciting. I'm glad we're kind of where we are, and it's amazing. Our staff has been with us for as long as they've been with us, and that makes me feel really good because everybody works real hard, and everybody seems to have a common goal, and you can't ask for anything more than that. It's like a team, and that's how you become successful, is when everybody's on the same page and you have a team. So we have our ups and downs, but that's just kind of like a family where you have your ups and downs. But for the most part, it just seems to work more than it doesn't work, and that's what's great. And that's why I think that whatever we decide to do and wherever we go in the future, it's going to be successful, and that's because of everybody who works here. Oh wow, God, I really have to think back. I remember that Barb and Carla, before they worked here, they had a tamale stand in the field behind the office, and they would sit back there in this field with their little tamale stand, and they'd make tamales all morning and cook them up about 11, and Carla would go, get your tamales, mollies, and then Barb would go, arriba, like that. And so all day you'd hear, molly, and then you hear, arriba. And they didn't sell many tamales, but Mom and Dad, they got so tired of hearing the molly, arriba all day that they offered them a job. And you know, the rest is history. What can I say? They've been here ever since. But they don't make tamales anymore. It's just not good to even bring it up, actually. Not a good thing at all. I remember Tammy, she was part of the Federal Witness Protection Program, and well, actually, you know, if you were working back then, she was known as Tammy the Snake Finnicle from New Jersey, and to this day, you know, if she sees like a police car or an ambulance or, you know, a siren go by, you'll notice that she'll like drop her pencil and go to reach for it under her desk. And we all know that's because she thinks they're coming for her, but we don't say anything. We just go, yeah, a lot of police cars today, Tammy, a lot of sirens. And another thing you don't want to bring up too much, but we thought, you know, you ought to know about that. And Missy, you know, Missy's been with us for a few years now, and she's great, except when she loses her temper and she's mean to customers. She'll say things like, "I'm gonna cut you," you know. So it's like, "Missy, could you get the phone? I'll cut you," like that. And you know, at first I thought it was a joke until one day, you know, putting the paper together, she almost cut me. So anyway, we don't really reprimand Missy anymore. We just kind of lay off. And got a story about Julie. Julie, most people don't know this, but Julie's the youngest person to ever work for the Star Shopper. Most people think she started when she was about 17, but it was really 4. She was 4, and it was really cute. But she wore a little jumper, and it was one of those little jumpers you see toddlers in, and she couldn't do much. She couldn't answer the phone. She couldn't, you know, use the copier because she was short, and she's still short, but she can use the copier now. She's just taller, short. But Dad would get one of these dog cords, and you know how you hook to dogs that run so they can run. Anyway, he would hook her up, and he'd tie her out front, and he knew exactly how far it was from the front door to the street. So he didn't want her going in the street, so he made the cord go, you know, just up to the street. And so anyway, he'd have her out picking up cigarette butts and trash and cleaning up, picking weeds, and it worked really well for a while. The cars would go by and honk, and then she'd scare herself and make a mess, and Mom and Dad would have to change her and everything. But other than that, it worked really well. And you didn't have to pay her much because she's 4. What does she know? You know, she just doesn't know a whole lot. But good memories about that. Melissa Gottschalk, ideal employee. What's great about Melissa is she donates so much of her free time to different organizations. I know she gets up extra early every morning, and she works in a soup kitchen at the Salvation Army, and we just can't, you know, we just think the world of her. We just, you know, think she's great. And they never proved that she put the cockroaches in the soup. So as far as we're concerned, you know, she's doing a great job. a great person, great employee. Chad, people don't know that Chad really, he was a foreign exchange student working part-time and from Chile, or Chile, as Chad would like to say. And he still doesn't speak any English, but it's amazing. He gets his job done, and no problems. Can't say anything bad about Chad. Makes great Chilean recipes as well. So Keisha, Keisha's kind of a discipline problem, I guess, would be the best way to put that. I'll call, she'll disappear. She'll leave at like 11 or noon or whenever, and I'll call and say, hey Keisha, are you picking up, or taking pictures or picking up ads? And she'll be at Rogers Rec, just down, hustling pool, and she'll be like on the phone snapping, like, I'm drinking brewskis, and then, so that's, for another time, another place to deal with that. But, as long as she eventually gets out there and gets her pictures, we don't have a problem with that. Karen, my wife, I have to read, my lawyer approved this. Neither myself nor the management of Stafford & Associates, STARSHOPPER Incorporated, wish to offend, make fun of, or impugn the good character of Karen Stafford. Does a wonderful job. Can't say anything bad about Karen. Does a really great job here, and tells me what I need to know and think, and couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happier.